Hello and welcome back to Basically Google. Today I'm going to be talking about Google Classroom. As you can see, I'm starting out on my Google Chrome browser and I'm going to go here to the 9-box grid and I'm going to click the Classroom app. Now the very first time that I log into this, I will get a confirmation page that I do want to progress into Google Classroom. And if my system doesn't already recognize my username as a teacher, I will be asked if I am a teacher or a student. You should always click that you're a teacher. Once you get into Google Classroom, you'll have a big gray circle because you won't have joined any classes or started any classrooms yet. And what I did is I went up to the plus sign and I clicked join and I entered in a class code to join this Google Level 1 Professional Development class. But I want to look at this as a teacher. So I'm going to go in here and click the plus sign, click create class. I'm going to type in the class name. On the next line, I'm going to put in the year, only because when I go in to reuse older lessons, I want to know from what year they come, so I'm better organized. And you'll understand that better when we get into the classwork page. For subject and room, I can add them or I don't have to. And then I'm just going to click create. Okay, so I have my classroom created and I'm going to go very briefly over the basics. So right here is my stream page where I can post things that I want my students to see, where I want them to read messages from me. I can see over here that any upcoming work that I've attached a due date to will show up here. The one thing I don't want to do is have students posting on this page, and right now they can. So I'm going up here to the settings wheel, and I'm going to scroll down to where it says General, and I'm going to quickly change where it says students can post and comment to only teachers. And where it says show condensed notifications, I'm going to hide them. And what that hiding does is when I post an assignment for my students on the classwork page, I don't want it also showing up on the stream. So I've hidden those notifications. The other thing I want to do is turn on these Guardian summaries, which means that I'm allowing parents to tell me, can you please add my email address? I would like a weekly summary of my students' due dates and assignments. It does not include grades. That would have to come from Fax SIS. You'll have this box automatically checked so that it applies to all of your classes. Go ahead and leave that as it is and click Add Class. The next thing that you can do is you can click to generate a Meet link for Google Meet, and we'll talk about that some more in a later video. When you're looking at Google Meet, turning it on doesn't make it open to students. It just makes the link visible. They can't sign in unless you're already there. That's one of the security features. So I'm going to make sure this Guardian Summaries is turned on and I'm going to click Save. Okay, so that's the stream. The stream is basically just your announcements page. Then we'll just look quickly at the grades page. Once you have some assignments in here, you'll have a list of student names. It'll look just like your paper grade book. It'll have their names, it'll have a column for each of your assignments, and your assignments as you grade them will show up here. This does not connect to Fax SIS gradebook. You'll have to type those grades in there. The People page is going to show you what teachers are in charge of this classroom, because you can have co-teachers and invite other teachers to be part of your classroom, and your students will use the class code to join, and then they will all show up here on this page when you have students. The classwork is the most important page, and that's where almost all the activity is going to take place. Again, you have a link to the Google Meet that you've turned on, but again, without you being in it, your students cannot go in. And the trick with Google Meet is make sure you're also the last one out, and when you close it, no one can get back in. Nice security features. Links to your Google Calendar, which will be another video, and your class drive folder, which will show up in your drive, which will show up on here, but you don't ever need to go into that folder. It's just an archive for all the material related to your Google Classrooms from you and from your students. So the important thing here is you've got a create button. And from here I can click to create an assignment. Because we're also using Kami, I can create an assignment through that. It's another program. I can create a quiz assignment, which automatically creates a quiz Google form that has all the quiz settings already ready. I can create a question for my students. I can create just a section with some materials, like some resources, rubrics, websites, textbooks online, anything like that. And if I've used any other resources and I've created them in another Google Classroom, I can click Reuse Post and use them in this one without reinventing the wheel, without starting from scratch and having to add everything again. Also, I can create topics, which I strongly recommend that you do. One way that some teachers create topics is that they do it by the week. Week of this, week of that. Others have numbered the topics and just said chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Whatever works best for you, but I do recommend that you use them. The really nice thing here is that as you create an assignment, you can also create the topic. So you don't have to have the topic set up ahead of time. In here, we're going to type the title, and here's where I'll put my instructions. Underneath that, I can add anything from my Google Drive, any links, any files, any YouTube videos, or I can create any documents, slides, sheets, drawings, forms that I want to have for the students to interact with or read. Sometimes students will click the turn in button for an assignment without actually having done the assignment. So what I like to do is always include a Google Doc or a slide that they have to put their answers into so that they have something that they can click turn in after they've edited it. If it's something that I just leave for them to attach their own document, sometimes they forget to do that. Over on the right hand side, I have the list of classes. If I had more classes, I would click this arrow and the drop down would show me all of my classes so that I could put this same assignment in multiple classes. For students, I have a similar option. I can click the drop down, and this assignment might be for all students. I might have broken them down into groups, so I'm just going to assign this one to 3 students. Or this might be a special assignment or an adapted quiz that I'm going to assign to just 1 student. So that's a really nice feature there. I can change the number of points, or I can make it ungraded. Put in the due date here and click where it says due date, and then it will come up. Here's where I can create my topic. If I don't give it a topic, they will all stack up at the top of my page and make a mess and be very difficult for the kids to be organized. So if you create a topic, let's just say that this is week 1. I would prefer to put in a date, but for example, I will just put in week 1. Most important thing you want to remember here is don't just go click the assign button, because whatever you've created, now the students will be able to see. If I click the drop down, it gives me the option to assign, schedule, save as draft. So if I'm not done with this, I can just save it as a draft. If I am done with it, but I don't want them to see it till the end of the week, I can actually click to schedule it. And then I can pick the date and the time that they will see it. But for right now, I'm just going to click assign. So it shows up on my page, and I get a little warning that says students will be able to see it immediately. And there it is, and that's what it'll look like to your students. Now, what's really important to remind your students to do is to click the assignment to expand it, and then click down here at the bottom where it says View Assignment. And that will take them to their student work page, which looks different from what it looks like for you, which is your student work page that shows all students. Their student work page is only going to show them. There's another video that explains how to look at the student work and how to grade it. But we're just going to go back to your classwork page. And that, in a nutshell, is just the very basics, the tip of the iceberg with Google Classroom. Make sure you check out my other video that goes into a much deeper dive, and you can learn more about the different types of assignments that you can create and ways to make your lessons more interactive and more challenging for your students.